the grim darkness of the future, as dark as my outfit for this part, there is only war. And maybe some furry Imperial Guards. Hello our precious viewers, and welcome to the second part of what is going on in Warhammer 40k. So, in previous episode we have learned that the galaxy was already on fire while humanity haven't discovered agriculture. Eldar were having psychic raids, Necrons were depressed robots in cryosleep, and chaos gods were born, because someone felt too much feelings. So today's question is, what did humanity do? We appeared like 8 billion years late to the party and tried to take over the whole venue. Let us talk how we came from prehistoric monkey with a fire stick to a 10-foot demigods purging heretics in the space cathedrals. And yes, we won't talk about small events like how space sailors of Smart Buzz Brotherhood were saving one small planet. It's not important for the whole war. But at first, let us talk about him. About the one who was guiding us. About someone who was born in the very beginning of our story. In the shadows of prehistoric Terra, during the 8th millennium before Common Era, a being was born unlike any before or since. Not born of natural means, it was the result of an ancient ritual. Thousands of powerful human shamans, early psychers, mutants sensitive to warp energy, and able to use it, felt the birth of chaos gods. And driven by determination and dedication, they sacrificed their souls in a collective psychic rite to reincarnate as a single immortal. This act was taken to guard humanity against the corruption of the warp, which they foresaw as inevitable. And so a child, immune to death, warped by no demon, shaped by pure purpose, was born. He would become known only as the Emperor. For thousands of years, the Emperor lived in secret. He walked among mankind's greatest empires, guiding, influencing, protecting. He was a silent guardian of humanity's future, manipulating events to ensure human survival, never revealing his true nature. Millennia later, humanity reached for the stars. This period is called the Dark Age of Technology, a golden age of scientific advancement in the 15th millennium. Terraforming, artificial intelligence, faster than light travel, and colonization of thousands of worlds marked this era. Mankind prospered under advanced machine intelligence, known as the Men of Iron. But the Golden Age collapsed violently. The Men of Iron rebelled. Warp storms engulfed the galaxy. Isolated colonies regressed into barbarism. Psychers began to emerge en masse, drawing the attention of demons. This collapse ushered in the Age of Strife, a period of chaos and disunity lasting over 5,000 years. Terra became a radioactive wasteland of warring techno-barbarian tribes. Warp travel became impossible. Mankind stood on the brink of extinction. In the 30th millennium, from this chaos rose a figure out of legend, the Emperor of Mankind, clad in golden armor and armed with unmatched psychic power. The Emperor revealed himself at last, not as a king, but as a savior and a conqueror, His goal was nothing less than the complete unification of Terra under a single banner, a rational, secular Imperium of Men. Using gene-engineered warriors known as Thunder Warriors, he began the Unification Wars, a campaign to conquer and unify Terra under his rule. During these wars, the Emperor encountered and forged an uneasy alliance with the Mechanicum of Mars, the only remaining bastion of advanced technology in the Sol system. Though they worshipped the machine god, the Emperor offered them access to the stars in exchange for loyalty. Through military might, diplomacy, and psychic domination, he overthrew warlords, technocrats, and mutant kings. He crushed the last remnants of superstition and false religions. And when Earth was united, the Emperor turned his attention to the stars. With Terra unified and the Mechanicum of Mars bound to his cause through the Treaty of Mars, the Emperor turned toward the stars. His objective? To reunite the fractured remnants of humanity scattered across the galaxy since the Dark Age of technology. But he would not do it alone. To lead this crusade, the Emperor created 20 sons, the Primarchs, each a superhuman embodiment of his will, intellect, and purpose, designed to be generals, governors, and exemplars. The Primarchs were central to his plan. However, before they could be raised, the Chaos Gods intervened. In a single moment of sabotage, the powers of the warp tore the gestation capsules from the Emperor's laboratories and scattered the infant Primarchs across the galaxy. Each landed on a different world shaped by unique environments, cultures, and challenges. Unshaken, the Emperor pressed forward. From the gene seed of the lost Primarchs, he created the Astartes Legions, 20 massive armies of genetically enhanced transhuman warriors, each bound to the legacy of a Primarch, not yet found. Thus began the Great Crusade. Across thousands of light years, Imperial fleets advanced, liberating and reconquering lost human colonies. Some worlds rejoiced to see the banners of Terra, others resisted and were brought to the heel by the sword. Over time, the Emperor rediscovered his lost sons, one by one. Raised among aliens, tyrants, philosophers, or nomads, each Primarch had become a product of their world, some noble, others ruthless, all extraordinary. Upon reunion, each Primarch was given command of the legion grown from his own genetic material. Together, they became the Emperor's warlords, leading the crusade ever deeper into the void, reclaiming the Imperium that once was. For over a century, the Imperium of Men expanded at a staggering rate. Technology was standardized under the Mechanicum, the Imperial Truce, a secular doctrine rejecting superstition and religion, was enforced across all human worlds. At its peak, the Great Crusade was a beacon of unity, strength, and rational purpose. But beneath the surface, cracks had already begun to form. Some Primarchs grew jealous. Others questioned the Emperor's absence, his sudden withdrawal from the front lines, his secretive projects on Terra, and the very nature of his authority began to sow seeds of doubt and resentment. The Great Crusade reached its zenith in the early 31st millennium. The Emperor had reclaimed thousands of worlds. Most of his sons stood at his side. The Astartes legions were unmatched in power and purpose. Humanity, for a brief moment, stood united beneath a single golden banner. But the Emperor was not finished. He returned to Terra, not to rest, but to pursue a secret project, the Imperial Webway. With it, humanity would no longer need the warp to travel the stars, severing its dependence on the corrupting influence of chaos. It was to be his final gift to mankind, a future free of demons, psychers, and warp-born horrors. To lead the crusade in his absence, he elevated his most trusted son, Horus Lupercal, Primarch of the Luna Wolves. He gave him the title of a War Master, a supreme commander above all others. But with this honor came weight, and with that weight came pride, and with pride came whispers. And no whisper was louder or more poisonous than that of Lorgar Aurelian, Primarch of the Word Bearers. Lorgar had long deviated from the Emperor's vision. While others spread truth through conquest, Lorgar spread faith. He worshipped the Emperor not as a leader, but as a god, against imperial decree. When the Emperor discovered Lorgar's cult worship, he responded not with praise, but with wrath. On the world of Monarchia, the Emperor ordered the Ultramarines to raise the city Lorgar had raised in his name. He then publicly rebuked his son, forcing him to kneel, shamed before his legion. Lorgar did not forget. Humiliated and disillusioned, he turned his eyes to the warp, and what he found was not emptiness, but divinity. The Chaos Gods offered him the worship his father had denied. Lorgar became the first Primarch to knowingly embrace chaos, but he did not rebel openly. Instead, he spread the truth quietly, seeding corruption among his brothers. On the planet Devin, during a campaign, Horus was grievously wounded. In his vulnerable state, he was brought by Lorgar before the Serpent Lodge, a corrupting cult secretly aligned with the powers of chaos. There, within the Immaterium, the Chaos Gods offered him visions, a future in which the Emperor would ascend to godhood, enslaving mankind, a future in which Horus would be cast aside. A lie wrapped in fragments of truth, and Horus believed it. He fell. Horus began to sow rebellion, subtly at first. He whispered to other Primarchs, Angron, Fulgrim, Morterion, Conrad Kurtz, Perturabo, and one of the traitors became it because of the warning the Emperor. While Horus laid the groundwork for rebellion in the outer stars, a second disaster was unfolding closer to Terra. Unbeknownst to all but a few, the Emperor had retreated from the Great Crusade to work on his greatest achievement, the Imperial Webway project. The project was nearing completion, protected by secrecy and guarded by the Sisters of Silence and Custodes. But then came a warning, a psychic scream from across the galaxy. Magnus the Red, Primarch of the Thousand Suns, and perhaps the most gifted psyker in existence, had foreseen Horus's fall. In desperation, he reached into the warp to warn the Emperor. Despite being forbidden from using sorcery, Magnus shattered the psychic wards protecting the webway, and tore a hole in reality within the very heart of the Imperial Palace. His warning was heard, but the damage was done. The webway was now exposed to the demonic tides of the warp. Thousands of Imperial defenders perished as demons flooded the Emperor's sacred domain. The project, once the hope of mankind's future, was ruined. Magnus' punishment was the destruction of his home world, Prospero, and the declaration of the Legion as traitors. With that, 8 legions turned against the Emperor. The Horus heresy had begun. It was not just a rebellion, It was the death of trust, the shattering of brotherhood, the destruction of idealism. The war tore the galaxy in half. Loyalist and traitor legions crashed across star systems. Worlds were burned. Civilizations were extinguished. Primarch fought Primarch. And at last, the traitors came for Terra itself. The skies above the Imperial Palace turned black with traitor warships. Demons poured into real space. Titans fought in the streets. The walls of the palace, fortified for 1,000 years, were brought to the edge of ruin. The Emperor, weakened and unable to leave the Golden Throne, made a final desperate decision. He ascended to the vengeful spirit, Horus's flagship, with a small force. And with him was one of his most beloved sons, Sanguinius, Primarch of the Blood Angels. He knew what was coming. He had foreseen it in dreams and omens. His death, death of Horus, and breaking of the Imperium. Inside the throne room of the vengeful spirit, the angel met the arch-traitor, Horus, fully corrupted, offered Sanguinius a chance to join him. One last plea between brothers. Sanguinius refused. Though he knew he could not win, he fought Horus alone, in defiance, in loyalty, and in love for the Imperium. He was struck down, his body broken. His blood spilled across the deck of the War Master's ship. But in death, Sanguinius bought time and made a small hole in Horus' armor. When the Emperor arrived and saw Sanguinius dead, the last veil of mercy was torn away. Their final battle was apocalyptic, two godlike beings crashing in the heart of chaos corruption, and in the end, stabbing his sword into the gap in the armor that Sanguinius had pierced. With one terrible blow of psychic wrath, the Emperor obliterated Horus completely, soul and all. But the cost was everything. The Emperor's mortal body was shattered, his life force dwindled. He was returned to Terra and entombed within the Golden Throne, a life support mechanism powered by daily sacrifices of psychers, sustained by the face of an Imperium he had never intended to become a religion. And Sanguinius, the angel of the Imperium, became a martyr. The surviving traitor Primarchs fled into the Eye of Terror. Loyalist legions were broken into smaller chapters to prevent another rebellion. Loyal Primarchs? Some went for vengeance after the traitor into the warp. Some were lost. Some were killed. The Imperium reformed into a fortress state, ruled not by truth or reason, but by bureaucracy, dogma, and fear. The dream of the Great Crusade was over. The Emperor became a corpse god, and the galaxy entered the long night of the Age of the Imperium.
Sed superstitio regit.
The Horus heresy had ended, but the galaxy did not find peace. It entered something worse, a war without end. The Imperium survived only through brutality, dogma, and stagnation. The Emperor was silent. The Primarchs vanished. His vision became a memory, and the Imperium became a machine of war and ritual. But while mankind bled itself dry in holy wars and bureaucracy, older threats stirred once more. Beneath countless worlds, the Necrons, the ancient soulless dynasties of the Necron tier, began to awaken from their great sleep. For millions of years, they had slumbered in tomb worlds, waiting for the galaxy to weaken, and now the time had come. Necron legions emerged, silent, relentless, and immune to fear or pain. Their Gauss weapons stripped atoms from flesh. Their technology bent the laws of physics. Whole planetary populations vanished without explanation, and ancient monoliths rose from the ground like tombstones on galactic graves. Worse still, the Silent King, Zarek, returned from exile. He had wandered beyond the galaxy and found something in the void. The Tyranids. They came from outside the galaxy, a biological swarm, a hunger beyond thought. The Tyranids were not a species, they were a weaponized ecosystem, endless drones, massive hive beasts, bioships made of living tissue, all linked by a singular, incomprehensible will, the hive mind. They did not come to rule, they came to consume. They descended upon the eastern fringe in the late 41st millennium, and the first tyrannic war erupted when Hive Fleet Behemoth attacked the planet Tyran, followed by Macragge, homeworld of the Ultramarines. The cost was horrific. The Ultramarines repelled the invasion, but their first company was all but destroyed, and Behemoth was only the first. More Hive fleets would follow: Kraken, Leviathan, Jormungandr, Gorgona, each adapting, learning, growing. Long before the Hive fleet ever darkened the system, their advanced scouts arrive in the form of gen stealers, bioengineered organisms designed to infiltrate. A single gene stealer, through parasitic infection, can implant its genetic essence into a host, creating hybrid offspring that are loyal to the Tyranid hive mind. These hybrids in turn infect others, forming secretive cells, then cults, then full-blown planetary rebellions. These gene-stealer cults infiltrate every layer of society: workers, priests, officials, even planetary defense forces. They spread like a virus of faith, worshipping the coming of the Star Children. When the cult finally rises in rebellion, the planet is already doomed, because their prayers are answered, and the Hive Fleet arrives to feed. Worse still, when the planet is consumed, the cult's biomass is absorbed, loyalty, devotion, and memories included. The hive mind learns from every conquest. Meanwhile, from the Eye of Terror, the traitor legions endured. The Black Legion, under the command of Abaddon the Despoiler, Horus's successor, launched repeated invasions into real space, known as the Great Crusades, 13 in total. Each one chipped away at the Imperium. Wars were raised. Demon Primarchs returned. Warp storms grew stronger. The boundary between real space and the Immaterium thinned. The 13th Crusade shattered Cadia, the fortress world once considered the keystone of the Imperium's defenses. Its fall marked a turning point. The Great Rift tore the galaxy in half. From that moment, reality itself was broken. The Eldar had never recovered from the fall. Their race remained fractured. The Craft Worlders, the sadistic Drukhari, the nomadic Exodites, and the secretive Arlequins. But some began to believe they could still defy fate. A prophecy emerged that the death of the Eldari race could give birth to a new god, Ynnead, the god of the dead, who would destroy Slaanesh and restore balance. A cult known as the Inari arose, led by Ivrain, a prophet of Ynnead, awakened by the death of Eldrad Ultran's great ritual. This movement united Eldar from all factions, forming a fragile new hope in a dying people. If the Eldari could harness death, perhaps they could escape it. Throughout the millennia, the Orks have remained one of the galaxy's most persistent and underestimated threats. Brutal, savage, and inherently psychic, Orks live only to fight. War is not a means to an end, it is the end. They reproduce through spores, grow into full armies without central leadership, and can overwhelm planets in days. Their technology shouldn't work, but it does, because Orks believe it should. If enough Orks agree that a red vehicle goes faster, it does. Their power lies not in tactics, but in numbers and momentum. As more Orks gather, the psychic field they generate intensifies, fueling an escalating chain reaction of violence and destruction. When enough Orks gather, they trigger a Vag, a storm of war that can sweep through entire sectors, leaving nothing but ash and trophies behind. Vags are not invasions, they are celebrations of apocalypse. In recent centuries, Ork warbosses such as Gaskul Makuruk Traka have united massive Vags, pushing even the Imperium to its limits. Gaskul's assault on Armageddon became one of the bloodiest campaigns in Imperial history, and now he marches again, driven not by conquest, but by a religious vision of Gork and Mork, the Ork gods of brutal cunning and cunning brutality. The Orks don't want to win, they want the fight to never end. In a distant corner of galaxy, far from Terra's decaying Imperium and the Eye of Terror's malignant storms, a new power has emerged. The Tau Empire. Barely a few thousand years old, the Tau were once a primitive species of tribal survivors. But under the guidance of the enigmatic Ethereals, they advanced at an extraordinary rate, leaping from spears to starships in the blink of a galactic eye. Bound together by the philosophy of the greater good, the Tau see war not as a sacred right, but as a tool used to bring order, efficiency, and unity to the galaxy. Their society is structured, clean, logical. Their technology is sleek and advanced, often surpassing that of the Imperium in precision and innovation. They wield plasma rifles, grav tanks, stealth drones, and battlesuits. And where their firepower fails, they offer diplomacy or subjugation by indoctrination. The Tau expansion has been rapid. They have absorbed entire systems, not through destruction, but by offering stability, medicine, food, and ideology. Many human worlds under siege have voluntarily joined them. Yet beneath their utopian image lies a more complex trust. The Ethereals maintain strict control over Tau society. Dissent is rare and punished quietly. Their caste system is absolute, and those who do not accept the greater good are swiftly labeled as obstacles and removed. The Imperium views them as a heretical upstart. Chaos ignores them, for now. But the Tau do not care for ancient gods or doomed crusades. They care only for the future, and they believe the galaxy has room for only one vision of unity, theirs. The galaxy is broken, reality has ruptured, the stars bleed, and the long night has begun. It started with Cadia. When the 13th Black Crusade finally broke its defenses, the world shattered, and so did the veil between real space and the warp. The explosion tore a hole through the galaxy, the cicatrix maledictum. A wound in the universe, a storm of raw unreality, a psychic scream that split the Imperium in two. Now half the galaxy is cast into eternal darkness. Astropaths go blind, warp travel collapses, worlds die screaming. The Imperium Nihilus is cut off, its people left to face the abyss alone. But from the brink of myth, a son returns. Roboute Guilliman, Primarch of the Ultramarines, awakens from stasis after 10,000 years. Reborn by the genius of Archmagus Belisarius Cole and the psychic grace of Ivrain of the Inari, he rises to find the Imperium he built reduced to a fanatic machine. Where once was unity and reason, now there is fire, bureaucracy, and faith. Still, he accepts the burden. Crowned Lord Commander of the Imperium, he launched the Indomitus Crusade, the largest military campaign since the Great Crusade. His goal? Restore order, reconnect the sundered worlds, deliver hope. His tools? The Primaris Space Marines, larger and stronger than their forebears, and cold relentless logic. But logic alone is not enough in a galaxy ruled by gods, monsters, and madness. During the Indomitus Crusade, the Death Guard descended upon the Segmentum Pacificus, bringing the Plague Wars to the gates of Terra's backyard. Mortarion, demon Primarch of the Death Guard, unleashed plagues that twisted flesh, erased thought, and liquefied cities. Entire worlds fell to despair and disease. Resistance seemed futile. But something strange happened. Where hope should have died, visions spread instead. Golden dreams, seen by psychers and sages alike. Flames that did not burn, voices that did not speak. And in the center of it all, a throned figure wreathed in fire. On the plague-wrecked world of Kamidar, a shrine priest lit a votive flame, and the pyre grew into a tower of light that incinerated a demon prince mid-charge. On Antium, defenders spoke in tongues of flame, and Norgo's armies withdrew screaming, not from battle, but from something watching them. Even Mortarion himself felt it. He turned his gaze toward Terra and saw it staring back. The Emperor of Mankind, long thought silent, inert, a psychic corpse, was doing something no one expected. He was looking, and the demon Primarch fled. As the plague storms cleared and the enemies of the Imperium reeled, another sun returned. For 10,000 years, the first Primarch slept beneath the surface of the rock, the mobile fortress monastery of the Dark Angels. Lionel Johnson, the reclusive and enigmatic Primarch of the First Legion, had vanished during the aftermath of the Horus heresy. Thou believed dead by most? The truth was stranger. He had been hidden, healing, dreaming, waiting. And then, in the wake of the Orks of Omen campaign, as the galaxy burned and reality split, the Leon awoke. But he did not return at the head of an army. He was not summoned, he was not resurrected. He simply rose, as thou answering the galaxy's cry. He hunted traitors, demons, and ancient enemies within the Great Rift, where even Guilliman dared not tread. At last, the Leon and Guilliman met again, two sons of the Emperor, forged by different visions. Guilliman, the statesman, builder of empires. The Leon, the hunter, guardian of secrets. They did not embrace. They exchanged no flowery words, but they understood each other. The Imperium is not saved, but it is no longer alone. The miracles continue. On shrine walls, golden flames light spontaneously. Saints are born from suffering. Demon incursions fail for no logical reason. Even psychers who invoke the Emperor's name speak of a presence watching and waiting. He doesn't speak, but his will now moves through the galaxy. Whether waking god, wrathful machine, or divine storm, the Emperor is changing. And what comes next may not be salvation, but it will be decisive. This is 42nd millennium. This is not the end, it is the beginning of the last age. The age of revenge, rebirth, and revelation. There is no peace among the stars, only war and the fire of gods. Thank you for watching this video. We hope you liked it a lot. Now you know what is going on in Warhammer 40k. The Imperium stands, barely. The chaos hungers. The Xenos close in. The warp trembles. But the fire isn't gone yet. And in this universe, while the only one soldier holds the line, in the grim darkness of the future, there will be only war.